Okay, I want to start by saying that this is more of a handmade snowman inspiration and maybe less like a DIY or how-to, because for starters, I'm not a great sewer at all, and I don't necessarily enjoy sewing that much. I usually make way too many mistakes. But I watched a YouTube video of a girl who was an expert sewer, who I kind of got the idea for this of. And I'm going to leave the link to that below. But the gist of it, as you saw there, I made my own pattern because I needed a bigger pattern than hers was. And she has a pattern in the video I talked about. You can buy it, but I made my own. And you basically need, for the bottom and the middle and the head, they all need 4 teardrop shapes basically. And I made 2 snowman, a big one and a small one. This is right here showing the bigger one. And I decided to do 2 different types of material for this one. And my biggest mistake, and probably if you know anything about sewing, you wouldn't have made this mistake, but for this snowman, I just had a couple of an old sheet that I needed to use up, and I had a little old material that I just had on hand, so I used what I had. But something like a fleece or sweater material would definitely have been a way wiser choice. I think it made this project way more difficult having the cotton material instead of something that's stretchy and forgiving. But for my purpose, it was okay. I mean, they're kind of on the homely looking side, but I think it'll work for me. I was trying to make some snowman for something to go. I have like a 3-foot Christmas tree, and I want to replace it with something that doesn't remind me of Christmas, but I just still want winter decor. So I'm going to try to replace that Christmas tree with this bigger snowman, and I made it a little one to go with him. And I think it'll work good enough for me. But yeah. And this was the part here that was the most tricky for me. I could not figure out how to. I had to rip seams a few times and redo it. It was quite confusing, but we eventually got there. Also, I think on the big snowman, his head should have been bigger. To me, his head seems a little bit too small for his body. And I made the connections from the bottom to the midsection too small, too narrow. I kind of had to go back and improvise. But those sections, I think if I had the bottom and the midsection should be wider connection, and the head and the body a narrower connection. I think that would normally be obvious, except to me, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed making the hats. These were kind of fun because I had this old sweatshirt and it was so fast. I mean, really quick. I almost had the idea of like, wow, could I make hats this way? I don't know. So that was fun, especially with how fast and quick it took. And this was just a random idea for a quick scarf. They probably were shorter than would have been nice if these scarves were a little bit longer, but I made it work because I kind of just sewed them to the snowman, and it worked out pretty good. I loved making these little tough balls. They were so fun to just make really quick and sew to the top of the hat. I think it adds a lot more funness, I guess. I think it would be a very sad hat without a puff ball at the top. And in my opinion, the big snowman here, his head is too small, his nose is too big, but I guess all snowmen are different, so maybe you can kind of. And I was way too lazy to get black thread for the black buttons. That's how lazy I am with sewing, and that's not advisable. I think it probably would look better with black thread, but I was lazy. That's my only excuse, which is sad. But it worked out. By the end of this project, I was so done. I almost ripped up the snowman and was like, I'm not gonna have snowmen. But it's okay. It worked out in the end, and by the end of my winter decorations, I might just toss them out because I can't stand to look at them anymore. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think they're okay. I'm not a great sewer, but it's okay. I mean, it's passable.